Hello, viewers of OBN Horn of Africa. Today I'm joining Mr. Mulualam Siyum, the founder and a CEO of the African Electronic Trade Group, which is focused on digitalizing intra and inter-African trade. And thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Mulualam.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, please tell us about the African Electronic Trade Group. What is it about? And it is the one that you are running, and you also the founder of this group. And what is it about? Tell us a few about it, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. The African Electronic Trade Group, which we call it the AE Trade Group, is a social enterprise program to empower governments and the small and medium entrepreneurs by providing digital capacity building. And what does it mean, digital capacity building? Is first of all, for the government in today's world, that digitalization is the way forward. In a few years, 90% of the global trade is going to be digital. For that, African governments need to be ready for it. So we have been supporting African government on e-governance and e-government program. That is the foundation for the readiness of the digital economy. And then in the digital capacity building, we are also supporting small and medium entrepreneurs by providing the know-how to do business, changing the mindsets, by providing a marketplace, a continental marketplace so-called Sokuku.Africa, and then the digital financing, which was cleared by head of state decisions making on the last summit in February 5. So this is a collective of, in the nutshell, the digital capacity building that we are offering to the continent.
As you know, Africa as a continent has an abundant natural resources, but paradoxically, the continent is still suffering from different challenges, mainly from economic challenges. And in your opinion, as an expert, as a person who did several researches in this area, what do you suggest and as a solution that the continent utilize its own natural resources so as to out of this whole economic problem?
Yes, indeed. With the abundance of resources that we can be able to take in charge of the proper utilization of our resources. African Union already has a strategy in place. The challenge could be the implementation. For example, the industrializations, value additions, job creations, and sustainable development. What Africa needs is to go beyond policy to developing an operation system, to create viable markets, have a better influence on the pricing of commodities, and also a mapping of all the resources to facilitate a better management. Individual countries have been trying to do this, but in my view, this could be more effective at the regional and the continental level. That is where the AfCFTA is coming in. That is where the private sector need to be emerging for the proper utilization of African natural resources.
Great, and also many Africans and African dissenters hope that effective implementation of the African free trade area, African continental free trade area will help the continent to become economically self-dependent or independent. And do you share this claim at the first place? And what is the way to implement this African continental free trade area?
Well, I will say partially yes, but let me explain. We are one of the supporters of the AfCFTA, including within the African Business Council. The private sector has welcomed the AfCFTA as a game changer. However, it needs a change of mindset in the public sector as well as to the private sectors. the private sectors that we need to ask ourselves, are we ready? Are we ready that to jump in this big ocean of market of 1.3 billion? And from local, national, and regional, moving to the continental marketplace. Are we ready for the free movement of that? Now you have the entire continent that you can be able, not just only your product, but your knowledge, your experience, your professional service that you can be able to provide to the entire continent. We need to shift that mindset rather than focusing just only to the local market, but the entire continent is yours for that market. That change of mindset is important to have. We are also concerned if the implementation excludes the African people themselves. For example, small and medium entrepreneurs, women and youth. At the A Trade Group, this is our central focus. We are bringing many tools and programs to ensure that we close the gap between what the leaders see in the high potential and the experience of ordinary people in the ground. This requires investment, patient capital, and a win-win partnership that African entrepreneurs in the private sector, that we need to start working in collaborations, not just only in their own countries, but across the countries, across the regions, throughout the continent. You have a multiple opportunities by working in collaborations, by bringing added value services to the entire continent.
Well done. And there is also fears that in connection of this African continental free trade areas implementation, that some experts suggest that or feel that serious challenges would face the continent in implementation of the African continental free trade area. And what do you say on these? How should it be, free from challenges, or how its implementation will be effective?
Well, threat exists and will continue to emerge. Africa is a resilient nation of people. We have no doubt that with effective leadership from the private sectors and the public sectors, we can overcome the challenges. Even when the pandemic comes, the COVID-19, it was a hard challenge. But when country comes together, they were able to find some solutions. Threat could be slow down the process, which we have seen it, but we need to resist. This is because at the end of the day, speed in consolidating our market in Africa is critical in our economy survival. Therefore, working together, that in today's global ecosystem, that the geopolitics that is happening, affecting Africa, for example, in the economy, in the pricing, but the AfCFTA will continue to carry on, and the private sector need to be aware of the full benefit of it, and continue to work in a full collaborations of people-to-people integrations. That is the most important.
And as you have said, the COVID-19 and even the climate-induced disasters such as drought and flood are among the challenges that the continent even has been suffering from. And how do you think these all challenges that affect the economy of the continent compensated? What is the means of compensation of these all disasters?
Negative impact are always there, but I want to focus on the opportunities in this negative impact. Africa is the youth continent. We have a young entrepreneurs, a young people ready for the job, that with many innovatives and creative young people, we can find a way to enable them to design scalable solutions to the challenge that we face. In last year, for example, in partnership with the African Union, we had a competition of 5,000 young entrepreneurs during the intra-Africa trade fair that we brought, that out of the 5,000, we have selected 150 youth startups from 41 countries and participations with the African Union Youth Pavilion at the intra-Africa trade fair. And in that, we were witness the innovativeness and creativity of the young people across various different countries and multiple different regions that has came up. And it was a testimony that has been revealing for us that when the young people spoke to the various leaders, how they see the continent, they spoke about innovations for food technologies, food securities, and climate resilience product and services. They are a way ahead in their thinking, challenging for this to become as an opportunity because they are entrepreneurs. We are setting up the 5 regions, including Ethiopia, the research and innovation centers, to support them with the guidance, support mentorship and technologies to be able to solve these grand challenges.
Ethiopia has initiated the green legacy, especially the past 3 years, and planting several millions of tree seedlings. And do you think these planting tree seedlings initiative will reduce the climate change or climate-induced disasters?
Absolutely. This initiative is a noble initiative, and that would be living by example to the rest of other leaderships in the world. Because this is one of the areas that to protect the ozone layers, to protect the climate change. There is many factors that are affecting that, but this is one of the starts to have, because the global leaders in many different countries, that some of the industrializations that has been harming our continent, to compensate and reverse the harming of the climate, what the government is doing is one of the nobles to the global crisis that we will face in the climate change.
Some commentators are claiming that the economic pressures such as HR 6600 will also have a huge impact, negatively impact the economic of the continent, especially the economic of this Horn of Africa. And do you share this claim?
This is a hard economic sanction. Definitely it will affect Ethiopia. There is a risk of reversing the hard progress what Ethiopia has done. And it has been made in the entire countries, the economic progress that's being taking place. What I see is there an opportunity for the dialogue, for both parties to iron out the differences. Otherwise, the consequence would be regrettably for all parties. To Ethiopia, the international community, and the African continent as a whole, that it really needs the sanction. It is not something that, okay, I don't want this, and then decision is being made to the sanction. It needs to be resolved in a wisdom way, that what will be the consequence, what will be affecting the people of Ethiopia and in the region as a consequence of that for today, tomorrow, and the decade to come. And it is extremely important to review, discuss, and creating a dialogue. Thank you.
What Ethiopia should do to cope up with the looming economic pressures from these Western global powers, not only Ethiopia, but also the African continent as in general?
Yeah, let me bring what is the economic state of the world today. All countries in the world are facing economic pressure. The pandemic has brought enormous pressure. The current geopolitical struggle in Europe and Ethiopia particularly is facing the internal situation, which is creating enormous economic challenges for the citizen. One of the areas that could focus on is to boost intra-Africa trade, and deepen integration for sharing economist prosperity within the continent, in our continent. On the 5th of February this year, at the African Union Summit, we launched at the side event the Smart Finance and Digital Banking Initiative. This is a financial inclusion called for action. And we are working on the practical solutions to provide affordable finance for small and medium entrepreneurs, particularly to the youth and women.
How should be the Ethiopian government and the entire people of the country come together to solve this economic, especially this inflation challenge?
Inflation challenge can come from many different sources. In this particular case, our issues within the country is the result of that is anywhere in the world, any war brings inflations. I will answer this question together with the issue related to agricultural product. Usually, the government will be able to deploy some resources to protect the people from the high cost of basic foods item. They also attempt to provide support to farmers. However, in a war economy situation, this support is not available to the people. In my view, I think the issue we have tackled about already, such as a dialogue, such as economic empowerment program, at the grassroots providing know-how, access to affordable finance, and the basic infrastructure to create jobs as absolute necessity. People can be more resilient if they have this enabling environment to look after themselves.
Finally, what are the ways toward this paradigm shift, a new paradigm shift of prosperity and even democracy in Ethiopia and also in these Horn of African countries?
We see a lot of indicators. One of them is at the continental level is the AfCFTA as a backbone, and the other includes the free movement of people, making easier and affordable to move goods, peoples, capital, and services across the continent. As the A Trade Group, we are inspired by this opportunity and believe that no single country in Africa, no matter how big or how small, how rich, how poor it can be, can prosper alone. The new paradigm, in a view, lies with the people-to-people integrations. The students, the worker, and other people getting to know each other and to trade for each other and create shared prosperities. That is Sokuku.Africa is about, promoting product and services made in Africa. This is the new paradigm shift for Africa and for Ethiopia. We will be here building the regional headquarters in Africa, and thousands of young people will be creating a job opportunity to be self-employees, to be alliance with the A Trade Group. Sokuku will be here, the Research and Innovation Center will be here, and to work together, and hundreds of thousands of jobs will be created for the young entrepreneurs and for the young people.
Great, and I think many stakeholders should be play their own role in this economic improvement in the continent. And if you have any suggestion, comment, advice to the youth, to the government, and even to the entire people of Ethiopia and other African countries, this is my final question. And if you have any message to my audience, you are welcome, Mr. Mulu Alam.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. The A Trade Group initiative is one of its kind, a grassroots transformation program that's coming throughout the continent. Having Ethiopia, the regional headquarters for East Africa, is a number of opportunities. Coming the A Trade Group with millions of investments to put here in the continent, and to work with the youth and women and entrepreneurs to work with the continent and in the continent's integration. And there is a wider opportunity for the young entrepreneurs coming in, not just only to do the business in Ethiopia, but the market value that is bringing the entire continent is for you. Just be there and let's work together to expand the market, to regenerate again the economy of Ethiopia and to the continent's market together. Thank you.
Mr. Mulualam Siyum, the founder and CEO of the African Electronic Trade Group, thank you very much for your analysis, and we also appreciate for your time. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much. Honored to be here.
Thank you. Dear viewers of OBN Horn of Africa, this is all about our discussion for this edition with Mr. Mulualam Siyum. Until next edition, goodbye.